Mark, welcome to Four Lads Meets, and this is all about your Rangers career. I'm excited. This is a long time coming, so I'm really quite pleased that we're finally here doing this. Let's journey back to July 1990.
Yes.
Rangers came at a time for you at 28. Rangers had already tried to get you, I think, the year before.
Yeah.
Why at that point was it Rangers the best move for you?
It was the best move for me and the family back then, I think, because my eldest, Emma, she was 8 and ready for the big school. International schools had done as much as they could for the children, I think, out there. And it was probably the right time to come over, and it had caught me in a period of my career as well where I was on the end of a real long injury. And I think when you're in that sort of situation, especially a long injury where you're the player that I am, sort of stuff, and the person that I am, and I need to be doing stuff all the time. I needed a new challenge, a real big challenge, and the opportunity came around by sheer accident. In the May of 1990, around the Grand Prix, Italia 90, Scotland playing in Genoa, and all the variables seem to all come together. All the planets, whatever you want to say, lined up for that day of me being out with the kids in a busy casino square and bumping into Graham Souness. Literally bumped into him, taking the kids for an ice cream. He was there with Mr. Skelly, one of the directors, David Murray, David Holmes, and they were there to watch Scotland play in Genoa. And it was a coming together in a crowd, not even seeing him, sort of stuff. And conversation started again. He said, "Do you fancy coming to join us again?" And, that's what Graham does. I said, "Well," I said, "Wenger's just given me a brand new 5-year contract. I'm not even playing yet. I'm on the training ground, but I'm not in competition, should we say." He said, "I know exactly where you are." I said, "You're running, you're in training, contact and all that sort of stuff, but not playing." I said, "Yeah, that's where I am." He said, I still would like you to come to the club." So I think when you're 2 years without kicking a ball and you're looking for a new target, right? That was honestly the prime moment he could have got me at. I went back, spoke within the family of what I should do. I was still insecure or not uncertain, so I slept on it, and then woke up in the morning and went to see Wenger. And I said what had happened, and he said to me, "Well, you know my feelings on this. We literally brought George Weir in as a 17-year-old for you to coach on and bring in and take forward." And he said it was our confidence in you, with me giving you the new contract and doubling the money and all that sort of stuff, which was a fabulous thing to do, and a lot of confidence put into me through Wenger. But he said, "I know." He said, "I was a player and all that sort of stuff, and sometimes you need to change a lot, but whatever decision you make will be the right decision. And if that is the case, then our blessings go with you, and because we know, and I know, where you will be in another 2 or 3 years' time, because I've lost 2 years. It'll be added on to the end of my career." And he says, "That's where we want to use you for that period." He says, "But if you need that decision and that time, go away and think about it. But our blessings will go with you if you decide so." I went back, spoke to the family. They would kind of just say they were having a time of their lives, because when I was at Milan, we couldn't go out or do anything. And now we're in Monaco, we could do whatever we wanted. We could walk around the streets and, be a family sort of stuff. But I was still it was still the persuasion of Mr. Souness, shall I say, Graham, was still in my ear. So I slept on it again, and then I'd made my mind up. I said to the family that I've made my decision and we will be leaving. And I've not even talked about contract or anything. So I went back to the Hotel de Paris where Graham was staying, and he was out watching Scotland play, so I put a little note in his pigeonhole in reception and just said, call that number, I'm in. And that was my agent's number, and literally 3 days later we was packing and on the way to sunny Glasgow. Not.
Yes, swapping Monaco to Govan must have been a culture shock. But just to talk just slightly, that injury you had, you spoke about it in your book. Yeah. I remember reading about it. It's the one, if I'm right, where it was a divot in the pitch.
Yeah, double dislocation.
And then, so you took your sock off, and it was basically...
It just flopped around the wrong way. That's what it did.
And that was difficult to recover from.
That was 4 operations. I went to see literally the physio turned the foot straight round and strapped it back in a real strong, like not a cast, but a strong for the swelling to be able to swell and not do more damage. So physio and Wenger was there when it happened. It was one of them. No pain at all because it had destroyed everything in my ankle. So we decided I was going to be on a plane at 7 o'clock in the morning off to Lyon to see the top surgeon, who then he said he'd never seen an injury like it. He said it was like a little hand grenade going off in your ankle and destroying anything. But he said, I can fix it. He said, I can fix it, but it will take 4 operations and it will take 2 years. Because it was like an operation, sort of, I'm going to say every 3 months, and then recovery and recuperation in between all those sort of stuff. So it's going to be a long, hard stretch, mentally, physically, and all that sort of stuff. So we banged on with it. He did the first operation there and then there on after, I was like a madman for 8 months, frustrated. We'd not played, we'd just won the league. That injury incidentally came in quarterfinals of what is the Champions League now, against Galatasaray. So we were on a good run as well in cup finals. So it was a real good environment for me for finishing off, making myself a European night. So, boom, that was it. May 1990, I became a Rangers player, and I think it was probably the best decision I ever made in my footballing career. I mean, Graham's not difficult to deal with. I wasn't difficult to deal with. I came probably 1/5 of what I was earning in Monaco, so money wasn't an issue for me. It was about competing again and getting myself to be what I wanted to be, one of the best number 9s or best number 10s or whatever of my time. I was on the road to that in Monaco, and I needed to finish it off by coming and playing again for a group of players that wanted to win. I know Graham from a long way back. He's a winner. Players, Terry Butchie was there, another winner, and all the players that were involved around that. I knew what the team would be like. It'd be full of guys that would be looking after each other and wanting to win everything, and that ticked the box for me.
But there was a little bit of resistance from the fan base because Ali was the darling.
Yes.
But it was always going to be you and
me and one other.
That maybe never was realised at the time by the support.
Yeah.
So there was that slight bit of resistance.
Yeah.
And the first season you maybe had to contend with that.
Mm-hmm. That's probably good for me because that drove me even harder. I think the more people put you down, the more fuel that fires me, and it always has done. I'm a guy that likes people screaming and shouting at me. It takes me to another level. And I always say to everybody, if you can hear the crowd, you're not in the game, right? And I could never hear the crowd. Only after I'd scored a goal, always score a goal. And then, as you say, that's when you become at your weakest, because you've lost your concentration. And I always say, if you're hearing the crowd, you're not in the game, you're not concentrating. Crowd becomes irrelevant until the final episode of whatever's happening on the pitch. And I've always been like that. Always been like that. If 50,000 people want to boo me, they can boo me. Makes no difference to me. It just fires me even more. That's why it's always, I always say, it was always great to score at Parkhead. All right, because.
And you do score early at Parkhead.
Yes,
in the first season there was two. Yeah. You go, memory serves me correctly. That's the one where you go into the net.
Yes.
After you score.
Yeah.
And that helps you settle, and it kind of wakens up the crowd, I suppose, but I think the fan base then realise.
Yeah, it wakes up everybody. It wakes up the team, it wakes up the fan base, and I've always said this, one goes between the other. The fans come to the players come to, it works both ways. You just can't have fans cheering players. You know, I've been a supporter all my life, right? And you get what you give both ways. So the players give back to the fans. That incites the fans into singing and all that sort of stuff and chanting, and then that stimulates the players on the pitch, and it always does. It's not one-way stuff, and I've always said that it's up to the players to stimulate supporters and supporters to stimulate players.
How much confidence does that give you then? Because those moments, your pace is back, your control is back, you're taking bumps.
Yeah, I'd lost a stone in weight as well.
Is that for you?
No, not lost a stone in weight. I put a stone on in weight to compete. I was too light. I was 12 stone 3, over a stone. I was 12 stone 3 when I was playing in Monaco, and I went up to 13 stone 10, 13 stone 12 in muscle, and that I think even made the best playing weight I ever played at was when I was playing here, because people used to bound us off me. I was super strong, I could run through people basically, and that's what made it difficult to play against me, because I could run behind, I could hold the ball up, and.
But you had pace.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which I think was deceptive.
Running behind, that's the hard stuff. Running behind, when you're running off the shoulder of a centre half and you're running in behind and you're taking your team up the park, you're keeping hold of the ball, and everybody's up behind you, and you're playing the high press. That's what we do. After I'd finished my career, I actually worked it out that when I was at Milan, I was doing the high press, because I was told not to go and tackle a fullback or ever tackle a fullback. I was to stay and work between two centre halves, and that's where all my work would be done, between two centre halves. I'd never run behind on the outside of them. It was always off the inside shoulder. That and then engages, if they have the ball on whatever, right back or left back, that means our right side or our left sided centre midfield players have to come and engage, and then wing backs or full backs, they have to come and engage as well. And when you sit down and you study it, that was back in the 84-85 season. So that's the European 9. And if you haven't been taught it, you don't know it. It's engaging all the time.
So that first season is coming to a climax, and then there's the bomb from Graham Souness. Mm-hmm. How did that resonate amongst the squad? And Walter, obviously, very quickly, David Murray makes the decision that no, you're not going then, you're going now. Mm-hmm. What was that like to deal with?
Well, it was a shock. Nobody saw it coming. David Murray, Sir David, he's a smart man, never saw that coming. And neither did the players. 5 games to go, I think it was. But what Sir David did do was and he is a smart guy. He went to the guys that know stuff about the game of football. So he got his senior pros, me being one of them. Maybe Goffey. I think Alistair was there. I think Nigel Spackman was there as well. There's 4 of us, 4 or 5 of us anyway. And he sat us down and, cup of tea and discussed what we, where I want to go and get a top manager and all that sort of stuff. And we're all sort of having a cup of tea and talking freely as well. And the players already came to the conclusion that you didn't need to go and find somebody. You've got somebody here who's not been a manager in Walter, but knows everything about this football club, what this football club is all about, and he knows the players inside out, what they need, what they don't need. So, you go with Walter. You go with Walter till it doesn't work. And he was on board with that. And then obviously Walter signs that contract, and we go on to win a championship, which incidentally, probably if we'd have lost that game against Aberdeen, things could have changed very, very quickly again, with the Walter situation and Sir David. But it didn't, and everything went forward.
Not without a hiccup. We take a bit of a hiding at Fir Park, 3-0, into the last game.
Yeah.
Mark, we have to talk about that.
Yeah.
Legendary game. It doesn't change your Rangers career.
No.
But there's...
Can I just say it does? It did.
Well, I was going to say, I didn't want to downplay the season because you're already starting to hit form, but that was a major turning point where you became a darling for absolutely everyone. I remember that day. I would have been a young lad.
Yeah.
I think I was...
I think I only scored 19 goals out that season. That was the lowest ever.
Yeah, the lowest for yourself.
Yeah.
But I remember that. I remember listening to Wireless with my uncles and hearing that. And that, there's the legendary stories about, John Brown, the paper bags and all that in the dressing room.
Yeah, they're true.
Talk us through that day.
Yeah. Well, we were in early, and the stadium was being... what was it? There was a club deck going, and the home team dressing room was not available. So we had to change in the away dressing room, and Aberdeen changed underneath the main stand in a porta cabin, which was hilarious. I thought, you got playing for a championship. Either team can win a championship on this day, and you've got the visiting team, in a porta cabin. We were in the away team dressing room. It's a small environment, so players were all together. Windows were open, and the noise that was coming from Edmondson Drive was incredible. I mean, we were in about 12:30, kick off 3 o'clock. The whole place was absolutely jumping. Literally, main stand was moving. There was that much excitement in the stadium early. As I say, John Brown a lot of the time needed a brown bag to stop him hyperventilating. And we were down to the bare bones. We didn't have a lot of the squad left. Alistair was still struggling. So we, to the man, literally rolled the sleeves up and just went to play a game of football. But can I just say that I never look at a team sheet. I never used to look at a team sheet at all, because in my head, the first 15 minutes was always going to be the same for anybody I was going to play against. So, bit of an arrogant sort of approach to the game, but it always worked for me. And I was standing in the tunnel, and I looked over and I looked down the front, and Gary Stevens was in, and I tapped Gary. I said, Gary, is that a ball boy, or is that a mascot, their goalkeeper? Because he looks about 12 years old. He said, no. He said, big man, he said, that's their goalkeeper today. He said, I think they've got a problem with their number one. He's playing today. And I said, well, can I just say, first 10 minutes, can you hang one up for me? A high one in, so he's going to come and I want to see what sort of reaction we're going to get from players around him, whether he wants to come for the ball and all that sort of stuff. So that was the infamous coming together with a young goalkeeper and an experienced centre forward, nearly killing a goalkeeper. It hit him so hard. The outcome of that, for me, I wanted a reaction. I wanted to see what the two centre, Brian Irvine and Alex McCoist, would be doing, whatever the rest of the team would be doing. See the reaction from our fans. I wanted to see that as well. And to say I was highly surprised that there was no reaction from Alex or Brian Irvine at all. I mean, they never came to me, no pushing around and all that sort of stuff. It was a win-win for me. And so I was saying to the players, we can't lose this. We can't lose this game. You know, they should have gone 1-0 up, but blued it over the bar. And then Alex showed me his number, and 1-0. And then it was, I'm going to say, the game was won from the first 10 minutes with their approach and no fight in them.
You said Alex showed you his number. Talk us through that goal, because that is
that's
a legendary
Alex, I love him to death. Still good friends, and he always said, "Oh, it's a foul. It was a foul. It was never a foul, Alex." And you know the golden rule is centre halves could never show a centre forward a number, their number, because once I can see your number, right? It's like me talking to you. I can't see your number, but if you're looking at the ball and you're running away from me, I'm in total control. I can take you left or right and you still don't know where I am. And that was the case. The ball was out there. Diddly it was working. Mark Walters leans back and hikes the ball across. And it's one of these where I'm running in on it as well. So I am the favourite. Alex, because of his starting position, let me see his number, and as I say, I was above him, and goalkeeper was never going to come for it again, and the ball went into the back of the net, and that's how you start a game of football.
Can you still see that in your mindset?
All the time.
It's an incredible moment, and that signals Walter obviously gets off to best possible start.
Yep.
Because Aberdeen could have drawn that day to win.
We went to the pub, I'm going to say, for 4 days on the road. We lived on the same road, and he came knocking at the door late morning and off to the pub.
Walter did?
He did indeed, yeah.
There's such a change over the club that summer.
Yeah.
But it's a catalyst of what happened that day. The 3-4 in a row would come into play.
Yep.
So you had Gorham, Robertson,
Yep.
McCall, etc.
Yep.
arrive. That made
Yep.
the big names left,
Yep.
Woods, Spackman, etc.
Yep.
went. But that happens. Second season is the beginning of what would turn out to be one of the best striking partnerships in Rangers history.
Yeah. It had started in the first season.
Yes, but Morris was still there and thereabouts.
Yes.
Morris moved on, he went to Everton.
Yeah.
And that meant...
Can I just say Morris was a great player, by the way.
He was an outstanding.
He was a super player when he came back from France, better than he was before he'd gone there. But just not, he was too mobile to play with a European nine, because Graham just wanted me to play as a European nine. So he would be off down the right wing, down the left wing, and I needed somebody, ideally, to be 15 yards away from me all the time. And that's how it works. Normally, at Monaco, it was Glenn Hoddle. I think he scored about 16, 17 goals in his, never done it before. But he played as a 10 off me. And that's what I needed. I needed somebody to play really, really close with me, because that's what I did. That European nine either takes an opportunity, invariably creates more of an opportunity for the 10. And that was what. Listen, I speak to all the players, and I'm not afraid to tell players what I needed them to do and all that sort of stuff. And that's your leaders in your team. Goffey was the same, Terry Butcher was the same, the goalie was the same, Stuart McCall in midfield screaming and shouting at players. That is part and parcel you know, a group of players going in one direction, listening to each other. And as I say, it was ideal for Alistair. Alistair's one of the greatest finishers I've ever seen, and I said that to him. We'll wind back to when the day I arrived, and 10 days there in the training, and then I went to Graham, and I said to Graham, I said, why is the fallout? I said, this is the best finisher I've seen, and I'd played with Lineker, Diaz, and Paolo Rossi, and all these players. And in training, he would finish all over the show, all different sorts of goals. I said, why isn't you being the way? He said, because I see what you see. I see more in him than he sees or wants to see in himself. You know, he's settling. You know, he was 24s, 26s, and all that sort of stuff. And so I had a word, and it was a good word with him. It was a friendly word, and all this sort of stuff. Get a little bit fitter, lose a little bit more, lose a little bit of weight, makes it easier, and all that sort of stuff. But you know, it was a conversation that you know, get lost and all that sort of stuff. But Alistair is very, very clever. He's very intelligent and took it all on board, and that's where it all started.
As you said, that in that season, we don't realise at the time, as you go towards the kind of fourth title in the trot, that Rangers were building something pretty special.
Mm-hmm.
It was beginning to knit together. It culminates in the title and the Scottish Cup return, which is really important because the club hadn't won it in I think over 10 years. We play Airdrie. Incidentally, my first ever Rangers game.
Yeah.
McCoist and Hateley scored that day.
Absolutely.
Or should I say Hateley and McCoist scored that day?
Yeah.
I think you scored first.
Yeah.
That run, inside left, bullet finish.
Yeah. Near post.
And you know that kind of, I think, seals off a pretty impressive first proper season for Walter.
Yeah.
But the point being, I wanted to make to you, and to see if you agree, there was a feeling, and we maybe didn't know at the time, that something really special was beginning to happen at the football club.
Yeah, players don't see that. Players just play and play. That group of players, all they wanted to do was play and win. And everything that comes with playing and win is a good life. We enjoyed lots of, you know, parties, if you want. That comes with success. I mean, you have to embrace your winnings and enjoy your winnings and all that sort of stuff. And we did that to the man. We stuck together, you know, Goffey, you know, drinking together, winning together, and all that sort of stuff. And being able to control ourselves, you know, it was not a lot of incidents or when we were out and about and all that sort of stuff. Walter was very clever on that as well, to make us police ourselves, because if, you know, it was ever any trouble there, it would all stop. So we were on top of all that. We were enjoying themselves. We were playing, visiting off to the, you know, supporters clubs after a game. 2 or 3 of us here, 2 or 3 of us there, getting to know the fans, and then, you know, out for a drink with the fans, and that all comes with success. And I know, and you say you have to have a group of players that are on the same page at the same time, and we were all on that. Coaching staff were on the same. Sir David was on the same page, all that sort of stuff. You know, we were all heading in the right direction at 100 mile an hour.
That 92-93 season, treble winning for Rangers, the European run, which we'll discuss, stands the test of time and being one of the most successful and exciting in the club's history. It starts off with an early defeat at Dens Park. We're beaten 4-3, and that signals something, because from that moment on, Rangers go on a 44 game
Yeah.
unbeaten run across all competitions, and that coincides with beating Lyngby, first of all in Europe, who were a very smart side, and Rangers dispatched them. I don't want to say with ease, but it was I
took a bang to the head that night, scoring a diving header.
Yeah, but it was a small indication of what was to come, and we maybe didn't realise it at the time either. Winning in Denmark as well, Gianni got a late goal out in Lyngby, and then Leeds.
Yeah.
And Leeds we're written off. I think that's fair to say. There was a lot of
negativity around the press.
Absolutely there was. I remember being down south, actually, for the home leg. We were on holiday, and the attitude was very much of, this is an easy Leeds victory. How did you combat that in the dressing room?
You used it as a fuel, and it was pretty. It was a really different build up to the game, I must say. We normally have a training session, and we sit down with manager and we chat and all that sort of stuff. We didn't do any of that on match day. Normally straight into the dressing room match day when we arrive on the bus. None of that. Straight onto the pitch. Archie, straight onto the pitch. And then literally 5 minutes later, all in. We got the wave to come in, and what Walter and Jimmy Bell and Archie had done, along with the physios and masseurs, and they collected all the newspaper headlines from the previous game, the build up to the previous game, and the build up to this game, and they put it all around the dressing room, and it was a fuel. Walter was very quiet, to say the least. He was not in the dressing room a lot of the time in the build-up to the game. Archie was there. Archie wasn't saying a lot, and literally we did the warm-up. We came in and all that sort of stuff, and then Walter literally came in with literally 2 minutes to go, and he just pointed to all the stuff. He says, "That's what you're up against. Let's go out and win." And that was it. Done. And we went out and won. And that's what we did. We were good away from home. Very difficult to beat at home, and that is a successful team, because we could defend. Great goalkeeper. We had midfield players that could create something. We had two guys that could score from nothing in the space of 4 passes. And that's, we beat Leeds. We had a night out, courtesy of Sir Alex over in Manchester, which was a belter, I must say. And then I think we went on to, was it Parkhead? I think it was Parkhead on a Saturday. Jasper scored. Yeah, and we won. And that was it. Boom. And it was that. He was gathering momentum. And then as soon as the draw came out for the inaugural Champions League, I said to Walter, I said, we can. I'm telling you, we can win this. And I was so sure we would get all the way, because we wouldn't get beat at home, and we would win more than we would draw away from home, because we were that good.
We're going to go back to Ellen Road though, because that was a combination of everything. We didn't realise at the time that we had a goalkeeper that was probably at that point best in Europe.
No, we knew. Players knew.
Fair, okay. Yeah. But that was a masterclass for him that night.
Yeah.
Defensively, bomber, Goffey, everything. But that moment in Ellen Road with you, they'd done it to us. We then do it to them in 2 minutes in. And you don't take a touch. No. You don't do anything. You have a look.
I had a quick look.
You have a glance. You see it. Yeah. But that must be one of those ones where you hit it and you know.
Yeah, I did it 2 weeks earlier at Ibrox into the Copeland Road against Motherwell. Same angle, but into the top far corner. But nobody ever remembers that. Funny that. Yeah, it was one of those. Goalkeeper is early on in the game. Goalkeepers and players alike.
I actually remember the Motherwell. It looked.
Yeah, it looked right into the far top corner.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
Took me a minute.
Yeah.
I got there.
Getting older, you see.
Absolutely.
So we boot flick goal. We'd done it before. The goalie, we did it a lot in training. The goalie would just half volley the ball, I'd flick it on, and then Alistair would probably have a finish at goal. At this particular stage of the game, it's obviously Alistair wasn't playing. Jasper was in, and it was roles reversed. And I think the shock of literally Jasper winning ahead, flicking the ball on, and because the movement was there, was a flick on here and I'm coming that way, so I'm literally running away from the goal. After having a quick look where the goalkeeper was, I saw exactly where he was and I know where I wanted to finish. It was on my strong side, and yeah, you can't, if you're buying a ticket, I'm buying a ticket, and I just hit it, and as soon as it left the foot, I knew it was in. Knew it was in. And the celebration, I ran over to the Leeds bench, dugout, and Howard Wilkinson. He was my first coach at South Nottinghamshire schoolboys under 12s. He was my coach, and I just stood there like that.
That was
Mr. Wilkinson.
The second goal as well. I need to talk that through because you're involved in the build up. There was a wee flick.
Yeah.
And then you power down the left hand side.
Yeah, I needed a centre half to leave Alistair space.
Yep.
And the centre half, the two centre halves kept going with him because I'd done the fullback by coming in deep and deep and deep, and I knew as soon as I got away from it, he was never going to catch me. So I had a lot of space, but I would literally, after Jasper had knocked the ball back to me, I was wanting to bend the ball into him behind the two centre halves so Alistair could run onto it and finish with his foot. Because the centre half hadn't come to me, if you know what I mean. I needed him to commit, and he stayed and he stayed and he stayed, and the ball, and I had to have another touch, and I had another touch, and then he literally came and showed me, or showed Alistair, 2 meters, I'm going to say, and I thought, he's going to have to score this with his head. And to be fair, Alistair will say he was not the best header of the ball, and all I'm going to say, it was a world-class cross for him to score. Like it was a classic one Rangers goal for us. Boom, 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 defend, make a save, come out, bomb, 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 2 passes, back of the net, game done. And that's what it was. But that's the partnership. When the ball came to me on the halfway line, when I'm going to run behind, I knew Alistair wasn't going to come and support me. I knew where he was going to go. He was heading. He was going to head towards the goal, right? And that's how that partnership worked. You know exactly what people were going to do. And as I say, it was a great moment. I enjoy that goal better than my goal that started it all off that night, because it absolutely typified what we were all about: defending strong, making great saves, cheeky little pass from Jasper in the middle of the park, and across from your big centre forward into your number 10, scoring at the far post. It was classic Rangers play.
The Champions League draw comes, and we're paired with Marseille, Bruges and CSK. Marseille's first up.
Yeah.
They're a team.
Went to Walter that day and said, we can win this.
But that Marseille team, Soze, Hateley,
I still said before we even played them that night. Yeah, they were full.
Barthez as well.
Full of. But we were as good as them. And I played in Marseille. Marseille was always a good team for me to play against. Scored, I think, 4 or 5 goals in my time down at Monaco against Marseille. So it was like a lucky team. And I say, as soon as the draw, without even kicking a ball, I said to Walter, we could go all the way here. Yeah, we could win it. We'll win down in Marseille, and all the others will take care of itself.
But that Marseille game, we go 2 down on a very wild night, Ibrox.
Yeah.
And it takes
very wet night.
Yes. And it takes a kind of genius moment because we don't know a lot about the young fella that comes on, Gary McSwiggan.
Yep.
He's maybe relatively unknown.
Yeah.
He comes on and plants a header that you would be proud
Yeah.
of. An
I taught him
unbelievable
something.
moment. What's that?
I taught him something.
Yeah. But then it changes.
Yeah.
And Ibrox is
Yeah,
up,
yeah.
and within minutes you
This young Stephen Presley coming to the side.
and has a short back pass.
Playing up against probably one of the top number 9s of his era, Rudy Voller. You know, it's a lesson. It was a big lesson that night for Stephen. But as I say, it was that never say die attitude. You know, we would 2 down, boom, 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 and all of a sudden it's 2-2. And that belief is there with us. 2-2, another 5 minutes, we'd have won the game.
Do you think that moment in Ibrox, at that 2-2 moment, was probably as loud as we talk about Leipzig in this modern era?
It was like the Aberdeen. The atmosphere was incredible back then. I mean, it was deafening if you could hear it. If you were in the game, you were not hearing it. You know, but soon as our second one went in, the crowd it was not an isolated section. It was everywhere and everything. Everybody was on their feet, and I was going to say I'm going to say, and I say it to this day, if we'd have had another 5 minutes, we'd have won it. We'd have won that game.
We then go to Bochum and beat Bruges.
Yes.
Fergie has a kind of deflected loop shot.
Yeah.
We go to Bruges and draw with them 1-1. Pierre Houstra equalises. Do you remember the first minute out there, the big Alamo and all the bodies on the line and bomber blocking?
That madness.
Typified
where
that's
where we were.
But it swings in match day 4, and Rangers beat Bruges 2-1 with, everybody will remember Scott Nisbet's moment.
Yes, because it was frozen. The pitch was frozen, and the under-soil heating in that particular part of and I said to the goalie, you need to check right on the edge of the pitch, right on the edge of your box is a frozen patch, because that's every game, me and the goalie cross his head, shooting, and we would warm up, and there was a patch, and it was right across the 18-yard line it was still frozen. It not severely frozen, but you could
enough for a hard bounce.
Yeah, a real hard bounce, and the goalie was picked up on it, and that paid off for us that night.
But something happened in that game that would become a bigger story.
Yeah.
You were sent off for something absolutely ridiculous.
Yes.
It's a one ball a game, and you've kind of pushed the boy away, nothing in it at all, and the referee couldn't be quicker.
Yeah, Starling's the name the boy was.
Yeah.
Starling's, and we jumped for a ball, and he had me in a headlock as we were falling to the floor, and I sort of pushed him away and went for the ball. And I heard a whistle. I thought, okay, there's a free kick for us. It's got to be a free kick for us. We can get the ball into the box. And I turn around, and there's a red card straight in the face. And I'm going to go back now. I'm going to go back to the draw. So when would the draw have been made for that group?
November.
Yes.
November we played Marseille, so maybe October time. October.
Yeah.
Wait, well, sorry, I need to think. But we beat Leeds at the end of October, November, start of November,
and then the draw came straight.
And then the draw.
Yeah.
And then Marseille was I want to say Marseille was towards the end of November-ish.
As soon as that draw came out, I had a phone call. I was sharing a room with Trevor Stephen, and it was in the Glasgow hotel, and a call came through reception up into the room I was sharing with Trevor. And it was French accent, but I thought it was one of the players messing around, Coisty or Jasper. Offering me, literally money not to play against. And this was something not new to me. Obviously, the Italian side of the game and all that, what went on jiggery-pokery over there. And I put the phone down. It rang again, and it was a French football agent acting on behalf of somebody else. And it was a serious offer. They'd just put the phone down, and Trevor said to me, he said, "Who's that?" I said, "It was somebody with a poor French accent offering me money not to play," and they completely forgot about it. I wiped it out of my mind. And literally, as I say, the Bruges game, as soon as that red card came out, I thought, you've been done. Eastern European referee, you've been done.
And rumours start to surface because Rangers go to Marseille, we take all our own chefs, we take all our own stuff.
Yeah.
There was rumours of, I think it was Bruges being, or CSK Moscow being ill when they played
food poisoning.
Yeah, food poisoning and all this stuff was going on. So
Yeah.
this was actively being played out.
Yeah.
We didn't really realise at the time the extent of it, of the bribery scandal under Bernard Hateley.
Yeah.
But you are sent off for nothing. Rangers would win that game, Scott Nisbet, with that wonderful moment that we talked about. But we go to Marseille without our talisman.
Yeah.
And that's ideal for them.
Yes.
But we lost out that night, and that's exactly what they wanted.
Absolutely. If we'd have drawn that night, we'd have been in the final. I think
Well, we did draw if we had won.
No,
in
if
Marseille,
if we'd have won in Marseille, we would have been in the final against Milan, my old side. But it wasn't to be. And as I say, I think 3 Eastern European referees were pulled out from that particular season and banned from refereeing for forever. And Tappy then fell into the court case, and I think 3.5 years or something.
Yep.
Yeah, and bump. But the beguiling thing for me is that UEFA never took the title away from.
No, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But the French Football Federation took their championship off them that year. So it was.
There was some discussion later on in the year, which Sir David Murray said no to, that Rangers and Milan would be allowed to play. It wasn't, I don't think offered, but it was discussed.
Yeah, very lightly, and that was it was.
Would you have welcomed that?
Nah, I think it's after the fact. The fact is that the bad side of the game literally had won. That's you just draw a line onto it, and I think you take an experience from it, which was not a good experience. It's the dark side of the football that invariably disappoints a lot of people, and for that particular season and that particular game, especially on a personal note against Milan, would have been an epic game of 2 great sides, and coming up against some really good players. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be. So you move on, and I said, literally, we started the next season. I think we got beat.
We'll come to that. That's the Levski thing. But before we move on, Rangers do seal a treble that year. 2 cup final victories over Aberdeen. The first one, Hampden, it was Stuart McCall, and a late own goal. You were up there for that headed moment. Stuart McKimmie, I think, knocked that in. Yeah. So we win that one, and then the Scottish Cup winning, the treble at Parkhead, in front of the old jungle. I think they knocked it down after that. Yeah. And Neil Murray and Mark Hateley score that day again, and that is Airdrie.
Yes.
Replayed. It's the exact same run. It's the exact same bullet finish. It's the exact same burst of pace that you'd done previously. That once again repeat itself. Yeah,
little 1-2 with Jasper on the edge of the corner of the box, and straight through the goalie's legs. That's the ideal finish. Is either high in the top corner or between the goalkeeper's legs. That's the finish, unless you're sliding it for a tap in. I was never sliding it for a tap in. It was always going to be a finish. So it's always nice to be bowing out, I think, after the end of the season by scoring a goal in the cup final. It really does gear you up ready for game 1 of the season after. So we were fortunate enough to be able to do it many seasons on the trot. And that was the beauty of coming to play for Walter and for the Ibrox crowd. We all wanted the same.
What we don't realise is, as a support, the toll of that season, because Andy starts to pick up injuries.
Mm-hmm.
Ali breaks his leg in Portugal.
Yeah.
And then we're to get ready, and it seems almost ridiculous for Levski Sofia. We would win 3-2 Ibrox, which you scored twice in. And then we go out there, and the game's done in the dying seconds, and somebody hits a Todorov, hits a worldly. And it's a ridiculous strike from 30 yards out, and it nestles. I mean, it beats a goalie right in the top corner. And all of a sudden you're out. And it's not even like now where you're parachuting down, you are done. You are out. And the shockwaves surrounding that. And I remember at the time, because a certain striker had come in for £4 million. A lot of people were, rightly or wrongly, saying he would come in and replace Mark Hateley. He's going to be this, he's going to be that. And, you know, Ali gets injured. Rangers are, I'm not going to say they're in a difficult, in a rut or anything else like that, but you know what it's like here as a fan base. We're written off pretty quickly. And at that point, Rangers, you, others, rightly or wrongly, the fan base were writing you off. How do you deal with that? After being 90 minutes away from being in a European
Same way as I dealt with it the first year.
Is that fair? Did you feel that?
Players are always under pressure. It's how you deal with the pressure. Same as the first season, dealt with it, proved who the right person was to be playing, and invariably I tried to do that all the way through my career. After that game, Alistair came, was obviously travelled with us, and he sat down beside me, and I said to Alistair, "You do realise that's us done. We will never be in this situation again, me and you. We get into that age, unless we're very fortunate to push on again. This is going to be a difficult period for me and you, because we were getting older and all that sort of stuff. And I say you picking up injuries and this and that and the other. But as I say, Walter spoke to me about the work levels that I was taking on, because I never wanted to rest. I wanted to play in every game that came to me, because I'd missed my 2 years. So I was ready to go. And he was worried that I was taking on too much. And I just said to him, I'll tell you when I'm taking on too much, right? I'll come to you and I will tell you that I am taking on too much. But I'm in charge of my body, and I'll let you know. He said, well, we're going to bring in young Duncan. He said, and I said, that's perfect. And he said, what we've done is, he said, we'll play him probably, if we've got a European game, we'll play him on a Saturday, keep you for the European game, depending on the weekend game, and we want to bring him on slowly. And I said to Walter, well, that's all well and good, but you need to tell Duncan needs to know this is going to be a slow process for him, right? Because he was a big fish in a big small pond coming from Dundee, and he'll want to play if he's got anything about him. And he had everything about him. He wanted to play, but he was. I said to Walter, I said, yeah, it's great, but he's got to allow the sort of pathway to open up for him, instructions to be given him to get him ready for the next stage of his career. And I think, and I see this as somebody looking in, I think it was probably a year or so too early that Duncan did come to us. I think he found it frustrating that he'd come from Dundee, where he was, I think, was it 18 goals or 19 goals he'd scored, and he was cock-a-hoop with that and all that sort of stuff. But he was coming into a massive organisation with top players, and I think that stunted his growth.
This is pre-internet days.
Yeah.
And pre-WhatsApp rumours and everything else. But I remember being told, and I was only young, that Duncan Ferguson came into the dressing room and went, "That number 10's my jersey."
Yeah.
How true was the stories of being, because he was a young cocky lad and he done well at Dundee United, I get that, and he talks about it and he's been very open in his book and what he's done, but was there ever any kind of needle between you two in terms of?
Not really. Just listen, see, when I first came to the club, guess who was wearing the number 9 shirt? Alistair was wearing the number 9 shirt. Graham gave the number 9 shirt to me straight away, right? To wind up Alistair, right? So Alistair had to play in the number 10 shirt if he was going to play, right? So that's getting inside a player's head. And then Alistair came to me and he just said, "I can't score in the number 10 shirt." He'd gone 3 games or 4 games or something without a goal. And I said, "Listen," I said, "all the best players play in 10, Alistair. Yeah. They're the playmakers and all that sort of stuff." I said, "I'll tell you what, here, you have the number 9 shirt and I'll have that because I'm a better player than you." That's what I said to him, all right? I said, "I'll wear the 10 and I'll score the goals and I'll create goals for you." And that's how it worked. And as I say, you've got a young lad that's just come to a big club with a partnership that was still scoring goals for fun. Alistair was picking up his European boots every year.
Twice in a row.
Yeah, twice in a row. No other Scotsman's won it.
Unprecedented.
Yeah, unprecedented. So that's what you're signing. That's what he's signing into and signing up for. He's got to try and
break that up and get in.
Break that up. And in good time, in the right time, that would happen. You know, because we were playing out where I was getting older, Alistair's getting older, and all that sort of stuff. And you know, here's this young man. If he'd have had a little bit of patience, would have maybe stayed at Rangers a little bit longer. But I'm glad that what he did and where he went to, right, to get his career moving again. I'm pleased for that because that proves that Duncan wanted to be a player, right, and not just sit there. But a little bit frustrated when he came to join us.
That season, you were carrying the team. I think that's fair, and I'm not saying that just because we're here, but it's true. But Walter does something that I suppose only Walter could do, and that's bring in Gordon Durie.
Yep.
He knew when to do it.
Yep.
I'm not going to say we were struggling, but we needed something extra.
Yep.
And Dukey came in. I think he scored straight away a double at Fir Park really early in his career. But it was, I think, it just what Walter does. It was perfect.
What was key all the way through all this, and rightly so, he gets all the plaudits and the stuff that goes with it. He really does. He was a magician at pulling a masterstroke with just bringing in a player or playing a player on a certain day that never been involved in the team for a while and all that. And I'd go, Dale, I'd automatically go to the Leeds game. Dale Gordon comes into the scene, and everybody goes, Dale Gordon, he's coming in at Ellen Road. Boom, all right? And that sort of little with Walter was magnificent, I'm going to say. He did it all the time, just to keep everybody on the toes and keep everybody thinking. And
what was Durie like to play with?
Pretty easy.
Different, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was maybe more like Morris in terms of
running. Very mobile, very mobile. But he was always a deep player as well. A deep player. So we would play more with it like Graham brought me to the club for as a European 9 and get runners coming into support and running beyond. And Dukey could do that all day long. He could support and run behind. Stuart McCoist was pretty, energetic with his runs forward and coming up in support and all that sort of stuff. So we had a midfield that was highly energetic with a good brain. Dukey ticked all those boxes. Stuart McCoist was the same, ticked all those boxes. Ian Durant probably
Very
off the
selfless
chart
players,
with talent.
though.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
would run
Yeah,
it and
team.
do everything for
But
the
it was
team.
a team. It was a team
Yeah,
player. We're all team players, you know. And it was, you know, we communicated well. And we communication from goalkeeper to centre half to centre forward was always the same. It was clear communication of what we were doing and what we were trying to do.
The season would end really, really poorly. I think we didn't win any of our last 5 league games, and that kind of set the tone to go into that Scottish Cup. I think the seasons before had taken their toll maybe on the team. We lost that Dundee United game 1-0. How difficult was that to bounce back from?
For a cup final?
Yeah, that was for the double treble.
Yes, double treble.
And we lost it on that day, a mix-up with a goal and things like that.
Yeah, it was disappointing. To kind of say it was very disappointing. I think we were completely dead on our feet.
Yeah.
Absolutely dead on our feet. It was a hot day. No excuses, but I think the race was run. We were running out of steam. It was a culmination of a lot of things, you know. It was a chopping and changing of the team. People have been playing a long time. Energy levels were dropping, and I think that was the problem. I think we was just getting to that stage where we were all, you know, looking for end of the season.
Yeah.
I think about that game all the time. The treble, the double treble, back-to-back trebles.
I remember, I think we got beat by Airdrie 3-0 on the run-up to that, and one of the 5 games that we didn't win. I think we got a bit of a hiding in a midweek game.
No, I can never remember them games.
No, but I remember being worried about that game because they had Ivan Golak. They were talking about, you know, a lot of things, but Rangers needed something in that summer. Walter knew Rangers needed something.
Yeah.
And he went out, and it was a clear signal of intent. We bring in Basil Bowley.
Yes.
And we bring in a certain Brian Laudrup.
Yes.
And it changes everything from a point of view. Brian comes in, and it's a baptism of fire because we get beat by Ike Athens, Falkirk and Celtic in 1 week. And it's like, hi Brian, welcome to Glasgow.
Welcome to Glasgow.
I remember the papers, I remember the red tops and everything else, but talk to me about Brian Laudrup.
Brian was a great guy, great family, son, similar age to my son, lived over the Rhine from me in Helensburgh, and we became good friends, still are good friends. The boys are still in contact. But he'd been on a journey. He'd been on his journey for a while, from bouncing around from club to club, not getting the game time that his talent deserved, and I think it was purely because he just hadn't found the right place. His game was tweaked. It was tweaked when we were here. When he came to the club, he had so many cutbacks. He would beat the player and beat the player and beat the player, and we know he can beat a player, right? Then you had to realise what we were about, and we had goal scorers. Myself and Alistair, we were a goal scoring team. So it was the same with Peter Huestra to a lesser extent. Peter was very, very quick and good delivery, but always wanted the ball to his feet and never in behind his fullback. So we literally had a conversation, Alistair and myself, about the cutback and how many runs we were having to make to get into the box. We was 5 or 10 runs, and Alistair, you know, he'd rather make 1 run than 10 runs. So I had a word with Brian. I just said, Brian, listen, we're up the park. We've got 2 guys in the box that can score goals. Cut back. He said, and I said, two's great. 2 cutbacks, you're making him look like a fool, and then the third, you're making him look like a fool because the delivery into the box is a goal. And good players and good friends, they take all this on board. So he sort of went from 5 to 4 and 3 cutbacks, and then we were getting the 2 cutbacks and ball delivery goal. That half time, I had a chat with him about doing the 2. Alistair scored literally 10 minutes into the second half of 2 cutbacks and a delivery, and that's where Brian's game then went forward and forward and forward, because he was, and I keep coming up with this, he couldn't fathom it out. He didn't know when he was going to do the cutback or deliver. So he was putting indecision into whoever was, and anybody in the back 4, especially the player that he was playing up against. Uncertainty, and he just went from strength to strength to strength, and all his natural talent, ability to run with the ball and deliver a ball and score a goal, all just came pouring out of him.
We knew Brian was special,
Yeah.
but I think, obviously he had that run in his debut against Motherwell at Ibrox where he set up Duncan.
Yeah.
But I think arriving-wise, performance at Hampden when we beat Celtic in a game you scored twice, Charlie Miller.
Yeah.
Again, David Robertson cut back, and then you had the one where Charlie slide tackles Tom Boyd and you
right foot top corner.
Right foot, top corner. That was a little bit of a message from Mark Hateley that Mark Hateley's not done here.
Well, I'm not done. I know. I knew when I was done. It was. And listen, see, when you've got great players around you, it's always going to be easier for you. It's when you get a great player goes to lower league, and that great player becomes a lower league player very, very quickly. But a good player, surrounded by good players, stays at the top a long time, and especially if he's smart, looking after himself and all that sort of stuff. That's why you see the players playing nowadays. There's no reason why you can't play to your 40 easily. And that's what it was. You have a great player. Walter, as I say, brings in Mr. Loudrop, brilliant. And he buys in, Brian buys into everything that the football club is about and the team was about,
Becomes the goalie's best friend? Is that?
Nearly his best friend.
Nearly his best friend.
Nearly his best friend.
Is the stories about the wine cellar and all that?
They're all true.
Yeah.
They're totally true. Yeah. As I say, we all liked a glass of wine. Some more than others. But that came part and parcel of it. It was Walter knew this and was all on board with it. But as I say, it was a great place to be, a great place. Best, I'm going to say, 5/6 years of my life of being here.
That season would be your last.
Yes.
For a period which we'll come to. Why was it the right time for you to move?
My dad's always said never make a decision when you're under the weather or carrying an injury or anything like that, and he was absolutely spot on. I needed a tidy up on my ankle. It wasn't major. From my Monaco days, it needed a clear out and just a wee bit of filing down and all that sort of stuff. And I needed a tidy up on my right knee at the same time. And so this was going to be, I can't remember, October-ish time. So I was going to be out the side probably 2 months, 12 weeks or something like that. In that time, Ray Wilkins, who was manager of QPR, contacted the club. Obviously, I'd played with Ray at Milan for 3 years, so we know each other very well. They were having a problem, needed a centre forward, and were prepared to pay 1.5 million to David and the football club for what was that age then, 35, 34, would I be?
33.
33. And I made this decision, saying Walter had come to me and he'd explained the situation, blah, 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 blah. And I said, okay, fine, if that's your thoughts, then I won't make that difficult. So, I went down there, as I say, just had the operation, and it was a disaster, an absolute disaster. The football club was, I'm going to say, it was full of young players that had no respect for literally for anything. And then I was under pressure because I wanted to help Ray. So I was rushing back through my period of rehab, and they were wanting me to play literally, I'm going to say, 12 weeks. I was literally 6 weeks, and there was wanting to put jags into my ankle so I could get to play and all that sort of stuff. And as I say, it never worked from day one. I was always sort of in that little bit of uncomfort. Never really got through it. Had a wee little 2 weeks where I had a rest on it, which helped it massively. And then decided, QPR was never going to be for me. And it was nobody respected what Ray was doing or what Ray was about. I found that very difficult to deal with. And I said to Ray, I need to get away from here. I said, and I explained the situations, why. I'll keep them private because they were private things, and what people were doing behind Ray's back was not right. I said, I just need to go over. You need to get me out on loan somewhere or not. And with that moment, Leeds came, and I went up to Leeds, and it was a breath of fresh air for me. Playing, joined up with Rushy for a couple of 3 months, and we had a enjoyable time, should we say, playing together, and playing at Ellen Road was a great place to play. And then I went, that phone call, and I'll let you explain where that came.
Meanwhile, all this is happening. Rangers go to seal 8 in a row. A certain Paul Gascoigne,
yep.
Helping the team with a hat-trick that day, and Rangers go on then to 9, and it gets to a point at 9 in a row where, and this will be strange for people watching, Rangers have injuries.
Yeah.
Seems to be the story of my life, Rangers and injuries, but we were threadbare. We don't have anybody left. Mm-hmm. And the phone call comes, and we have to go and get Andy Dibble, who comes up and is still to this day talks about it and has got a 9 in a row tattoo. Yeah. He buys into it. Officer
Dibble.
That's it. But we need somebody else, and the phone call goes to you, and talk us through that.
Yeah, it just came in, and I actually thought it was either Alistair or Jasper winding me up. It was one of those phone calls that I always said to Walter, I want to finish my career here. That was it. And having the opportunity. So the phone call came in, I put the phone down, phone again, and my wife, she said, listen, you need to take this phone call because it's Dennis Roach, it's your agent. And I said, okay, yeah, I just had 2 clams. He said, no, that was me. He said, I've had Walter on the phone, and I want you to go back up for the Old Firm game till the end of the season. And this was the Thursday. For the Old Firm game on the Saturday, I think it was.
Sunday morning.
Mm-hmm. So these are terms and conditions. I said, listen, don't need that. Just tell him I'm coming. All right. So jumped on a plane and went straight up the road and signed all the papers and all that sort of stuff. Never even went into QPR. I phoned Ray and told Ray this was happening. and off I went.
And that game will be remembered because people talk about what happened in the second half, but what happened in the first half was Mark Hateley flicked it on for Ian Durant to run through and lob Stuart Kerr. And
I put the fullback into row B, I think, in the first 3 minutes of the game. I remember that.
I also remember the commentary was like it was like you'd never left.
Yeah, absolutely. So that got everybody going, got me going. And as I say, you're in and about it. Then you've got people looking at you and worrying about you and getting the ball to you and all that sort of stuff. And as I say, you causing a bit of a scrumash with the long ball from I'm going to say a long ball that you probably never ever see in the modern game. There's a hike up the pitch, wee little nudge on, hardly anything on it. I probably wouldn't have got it now without the hair. And then you get the goal, and as I say, it was.
But it was like you'd never been away.
Never been away, and it was just great to have the opportunity to play in a game that was so important to the football club.
Yeah, I can't remember quite if it took us 9 points clear maybe, but that was I think we were 4 games
a long
from
way.
home. Yeah. You obviously would miss a game, but then Dunfermline comes.
First goal and my last goal were against Dunfermline.
Yes.
Yeah. Funny that.
And I still remember that. You played through, round the goalkeeper, put it in, and the noise that day was for that goal. The noise. I was in the Broomloan Ria, watching that, and it was a wee bit special.
Same old.
Yeah.
A little bit of pace, not so much pace, a bit more strength.
Again, it's that run. It's the same run.
Same run. Yeah. It's an art.
Yeah, and I always remember you lay down and celebrated, and then you got up and did your celebration.
I was naked.
But you did you got up and you done your celebration, which became your trademark.
Yes, indeed.
How special was it to have that moment and help the team to 9 in a row?
Yeah,
because we needed you.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I said to Walter, listen, he was brilliant, and I just said to him, thanks for giving me the opportunity. Scoring, coming back, being able to score, and more than anything, taking a ninth title. I only played a few games, but I still say, everybody always says to you, said, how many titles did you win? I said, well, I didn't win any. I assisted. I assisted in 6, and that's how it should be. You don't win anything on your own in a team game.
Mark, as we finish, I'm going to ask you some questions. What's your favourite moment at Rangers?
Favourite moment will probably be, I think the most important moment for me would be the Aberdeen game, because then that set everything in full sail. There was no holding me back then. Everything was full steam ahead. It was just everything. Everything had come together after a long season of fighting with myself, proving to people around me that I was going to be the same, if not better than I was before I was injured, and proving to 52,000 people every week that I was the best centre forward in Britain or Europe or wherever.
Favourite Rangers game?
I'm going to say 57 seconds against Celtic and 3-0 up after 18 minutes. Boom. That's a funny day.
You could, I remember the commentary, you could drive a bus through the Celtic defence.
Oh, gee whiz.
Mark Hateley after.
Yes.
Do you know, here's a story. This was back in the days where there was no super scoreboard or anything.
Yeah.
So on Sky Sports it used to flash up.
Yeah.
And it flashed up Scottish Premiership.
Yeah.
Celtic 0, Rangers 1.
Yeah.
Mark Hateley, 1 minute.
Yeah.
And then it flashed up again.
Yeah.
And it was Mikhailichenko.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then again, Mikhailichenko.
Yeah.
And I remember watching it with my dear old Papa.
Yeah.
And we couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And then obviously Oleg would score again. But that again, that run inside.
Yeah, that was from the other side, from the right side.
From the right side.
Yeah, it's a simple thing. You just pop in. See, when a fullback's pushed up the park,
they were so high.
Yeah, wherever. If one always goes, two fullbacks will never go at the same time. So, if a left-sided fullback pushes right up, centre forward just goes and stands in between the space. Centre half won't come with you because he will never come into a space where he doesn't want to be. And just keep picking the ball up and running it. And once you're running at centre half, if you're half decent, you normally put them on their arse.
Let's talk about your goals. There was 112 of them.
I thought there was more than that, but there you go, I'll let you off.
I beg your pardon. League goals.
Yeah?
So, let's pick a top three. Can you? I've got a top three in my mind.
I'm going to say the 57 seconds one will be high on the one against Celtic. I'm going to say the Aberdeen game, last game of the season, would be up there as well. And the Leeds goal, probably. And they'll probably your three. Nearly.
I have a couple of favourites. One you scored at Pataudry was raw pace.
Yeah, for halfway line on the right-hand side. On that right-hand side.
But the finish was
emphatic.
Yes, and it went into the top corner.
Yeah.
That, to me, I always loved that because you were deceptively fast that people didn't realise, and that was an incredible goal for me. Yeah. There was another one which was quite funny and I quite liked.
Yeah,
it was from inside.
Mr. Wright was playing against me. He was a fullback.
Yeah.
He joined us, I think, a couple of seasons.
Wright.
Stephen Wright. And as soon as he came to the club, he said that. He brought that up to me.
But that was I loved that goal. I don't know, as a young boy, when you see, I absolutely loved that goal. Yeah. The obvious ones are the obvious ones we've spoken about, but also loved your one you scored at Firhill inside your own half.
Yeah.
And it kind of bounced in front of Craig Nelson and looked in. As a young kid, I loved that.
I came on as a sub that day.
That's right,
Yeah. Because I said to Walter's going to say, I'm resting you because we got the European game coming up. I said, Walter, listen, and I was really annoyed. Really annoyed with Walter because I wanted to play in that game. And I think they had a corner and I won the header and the ball fell to a guy. I chased the ball and it fell to a boy.
And you tackled.
I tackled him there, right? And then the ball broke, didn't it? And then the goalkeeper was, I don't know where but it was a windy day. And I actually started the effort off, right? So the wind was blowing this way behind me, right? And it was blowing across. And literally started it off at the corner flag. So I hit the ball towards the corner flag and it came in with spin on, bounced over the goalkeeper and into the back of that. And then I ran over to Walter, into the dugout. All right, and I think I grabbed hold of him and I said, don't ever leave me out of the team again, please.
Best friend at Rangers?
Everybody. Listen, we're all good pals, still are good pals. It's hard to pick one out because everybody was there for everybody. I shared with Nigel Spatman, Trevor Stephen, a couple of English boys, but I'd be quite happy to have roomed with anybody in that group, anybody at all.
Final words for Walter.
What can you say? He's Mr. Glasgow Rangers. His whole family. Smudger that still works here at the club. Ethel, I see up in the blue room on many occasions during the seasons. And as I say, the boys used to come to pre-season training with us when they were about yon high. It is. Walter is what Walter is. He was magnificent. Guy, personality, family, everything about him was good. He would come and sit in my house and talk to me about family, music, movies, and not even mention football. That's what he was like.
Mark Hateley, won everything here.
Yep.
Won Player of the Year awards. Won Golden Boots.
Yeah.
Won.
First Englishman ever to win the sports writers.
Yep.
Now that's a good one.
But your face is on
Yeah.
Ibrox as being in part of
Greatest
the
ever
greatest ever
team.
Rangers team.
Yeah, that's a big thing
I said
for me.
final question, but
Yeah.
final question.
Yeah.
What does that feel like to be
Yeah.
etched in the history of the club forever?
I always say you're here for a good time, not a long time. I had that here, but everything you did while you were here is here for a long time. You get that, yeah? It's a bit of a mishmash, but it's quite emotional.
But it's well deserved. It was a
Yep.
pleasure to watch you
Yeah.
as a young fella growing up.
Mhm.
It's a pleasure to know you and be your friend now. But thank you.
You're welcome. And to all you lot out there watching this, stay strong.
The Four Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, in partnership with Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Thank you for listening to